idea is, if you recall, if anyone has been following me for some time, you may remember in February, I think it was February, I did a daily drawing series, something I do quite often. Every day in a month, I will do a drawing. Um, in February of this year, I drew a fantastical fish every day, and that was super fun. And a lot of those designs are really cool. I actually quite like them. They do not look like this guy. Um, very good. They're waving. Uh, and these, as the more I developed the game concept-wise, the more I decided these fish that I drew, these are what I'm calling minor spirits. They are your bulk fishes, right? You're gonna fish, and you're gonna pull up one of these fish, and you're gonna fish, and you're gonna pull up a different one. And you're gonna fish, and you're gonna pull up a different one. And this is a combination of, hey, it's a fishing game, it needs to be padded in with some fish that, aren't really your goal, but they're still cool. It also accrues sort of an experience point system, which is going to be weird and vague probably. But mostly what you're doing is you are getting progress towards being able to draw out the major spirit from the lake. Each one is unique to its own body of water, and they're going to be big deals, and they're going to be plot relevant, and that's really fun. So, while I have, 28 normal fish, which is nowhere near enough. I'm going to need more fish, but it's a start. I don't have any of these major spirits. Because I haven't done that. So there you go. The hope is that I can come up with something pretty dang cool and interesting. Now, where to start from that, I don't actually know. I want things that are obviously, large, but that's not, the most important part about them. They gotta still be interesting. A little sitting here, a little stool. And they've caught, a fish. Wow, look at that fish. And then this guy comes out, and they also wave. Hi. So designing these larger monsters, right? If we think of this in a sort of very classic D&D sense, they're basically going to be the big monsters, big cool monsters, akin to dragons, but not dragons. I do want the final one. Basically, the final boss of the game is a flippin' dragon that you're going to be fishing out of a volcano. Spoilers. For this game that doesn't exist. So I don't want them all to just read as dragons, because that's too... I mean, they could all be dragons, but that's not really the plan. So while I do want something going on screen in front of everyone's eyes right now, I think largely I'm going to need some inspiration. So I might be off in my browser every once in a while. Then again, as I was just saying, I do think that I have never had a name for this game. The game's working title has simply been Angler, which is not a very good name. And today I saw the phrase Phantom Fisher, and I went, ooh, that's pretty good. Phantoms, like spirits? Wait a minute. Spirit Fisher. Wait a minute. Phantom implies that they're actually ghosts or something, though, not just spirits of nature. Those are very different. But they could be phantoms, they could be ghosts. And so maybe, even though I really wanted to avoid any sort of weird anthropomorphic fish people thing going on in the game, the major spirits maybe could be entirely possible that is a direction that we could go with it. I forgot my train of thought. Anyway, hi, it's Lemon TV. Welcome in. Hello, like he said, if I don't come say hello, she will smother me in my sleep. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Lemon. Wait, I didn't say that. I did what you said. Don't hurt me. Aw. Well, welcome in regardless, and thank you for the follow. As you can see, I don't have any on-screen alerts. Today, we're doing some art. The actual, like, gameplay streams have been recently Hollow Knight on Fridays. So, nothing really to see here right now. But, I do welcome your presence. So, the question is, do we want to maybe lean into some anthropomorphisms? And I think maybe, but they're going to be still very weird and monstrous. That's the plan. Now, a while ago, I actually... Y'all know AI Dungeon? I asked it to write a script for me, basically. I was like, hey, can you please come up with a cool story for my game? Because I don't have a story, I just have a premise. And one of the scenes it described involved an entire house appearing on the lake. And inside the house, there was an old woman who was sitting around a fire that's just on their floor. And I thought that was really cool. I don't know how that works. I don't know why that would make sense, but it's like a weird spirit vision thing. Like, it doesn't have to make sense, right? So... that's something that might happen. Although, I do want these, like, big, cool, interesting monsters. So, we'll see what we can do. Alright. I mean, that's interesting. Mountain goat, starfish, donkey. Make sure I'm in screen when I do this. I'll do them over here. Now, will... all of these animals get in there? Probably, but not necessarily. Important thing is starfish is in there, mountain goat, donkey. I'm going to start with mountain goat and donkey. I'm sorry, mountain goat and starfish. And if donkey gets in there too, then that's great. I'm into it. But it's not my priority. Now, of course, mountain goat in the context of a sea creature does imply a sort of Capricornian situation. Now, I don't want to just slap them together, and starfish is going to make it hard to do that anyway. Now, if I was just given, like, starfish, if I was drawing, like, a mermaid, right, I would probably do some kind of starfish-legged mermaid, which isn't, like, really that reasonable. It's kind of cool because you're so used to seeing, like, octopus body, and while a starfish's, like, arms are kind of tentacle-like, they're not tentacles, right? Like, I mean, maybe they are and we just don't think of them that way, but we don't think of them that way, regardless. Which is interesting. I think it's going to be hard for this to not read as octopus or squid, which is interesting. Not something I'd really, like, considered. We definitely want to have your weird eyes, because that is the most fun part about a goat. That's not true. Goats are great. They don't only have one fun part. But, gotta have the eyes in there. Which aren't going to look like this, but, you know, conceptually, going to have them in there. And it does make me think of, like, a cuttlefish. Like, what this describes to me is largely cuttlefish-like. So maybe I'm going in the complete wrong direction, and I should be doing... starting with a cuttlefish face. We already have a cuttlefish as one of the fish. Well, a cuttlefish-inspired fish as one of the fish in the series. So that could be a minor spirit in the same location. Now, of course, this is starfish, not, like, cuttlefish tentacle, but whatever. What you gonna do? And of course, instead of a normal cuttlefish, it's gonna actually have, like, horns, which I know mountain goats don't really have that intense big ram horns, but ram horns are cool, so I might do that. I haven't decided yet. We're gonna start with these and see if I really need to change them up. I think I might have done a bit too much on this eye. Yeah. Even though they do sort of bulge out of the sides, like, just the square kind of works better as far as conveying intent. Now, also, Mountain Goat, Starfish, Donkey, that's a jumping off point. So I think I'm still going to lean into more traditional, like, big, scary monster mentalities. So let me actually just, like, Google a dragon or something. So far, this looks like kind of just a chump right now, which is not a great look for our massive, terrifying, you know, major spirit. I mean, as much as this is largely a very weird monster that if I threw at a party of adventurers, they would go, "What the heck is that?" I don't think any of them would be scared of it. You know? It's certainly weird, but I don't know if I'd call it scary. So what does it need? Well, it just kind of has a head coming out of a starfish, which feels lacking, like it needs more body. Now the question is, where does the body go? Is it down here? Or is it between these points? Or maybe that's wrong and it just needs, like, spikes or something. I don't know. Something to show that it's scary, you know? I want to try something real quick, like... Wow. Why do I ever come up with my own ideas? When I could have an AI do it for me. This is what I learned from AI Dungeon. But now it's kind of getting like mole energy because I'm doing like the star nose, you know? Huh. I do want actual horns though, not just these like sort of pseudo tentacle horn things that are happening here. So let's add them in. I'm just gonna actually fill these in black. Yeah, all right. How do like legs work on such a creature? Well, it's a fish, right? You make a good point. What if I just cheat it out and make it a full-on Capricorn? Hippocampus, please. Sure. If you insist. I don't. You can call it whatever you want. But like, you know, my fish series are based on fish. But there's so many other aquatic things, you know? I could have a manatee. Not manatee? Manatee. Thank you. I could have a big manatee, I could have a big whale, I could have some, like, you know, like, rays. Like, all these things would actually make pretty cool, you know, boss monsters. And while they're, you know, not necessarily huge, big, terrifying dragons, they are very clearly distinct. You know what this creature reminds me of? That big, like, sea walrus from Digimon. I don't remember what its name was. But that's exactly what this reminds me of. Which is interesting, because there is actually a fish that reminds me of that, too. In my series of fish, not just, like, in general. Cool. So let's add some stuff to this. I do think it's got that some shaggy fur going on. Let's block in some gray fur. But a lot of these are actually tentacles. And it's not like all fur all the way down. But there is fur on top. Then, actually, I think this needs to also be fur here. Great. Then I'm thinking orange. Orange is like the color I think of when I think of starfish. Is that accurate? I don't know. But it's what I think of. And that's more important. Because identifiability is the goal. So, we've got this orange. But I think we don't want to stick with orange. We want to kind of move into like more of a pinkish color. And, yeah. Now, maybe I'll be doing, like, a pink-orange. Or maybe I'll do one of those, like, fun transition colors. Show you what I mean when I get there. Not saying the right words, really. And these down here, these are going to have to be their own color, because they're so distinct from the rest of the body. But I think that seems appropriate. In the same way that the tail is going to have its own color, right? You wouldn't lump that in with the rest of this. Hey, is this thematically in tone with the rest of the series? Well, even in art style, even in line, like, brush type, it is not in line. Huh. That's a good point, actually. The idea that, yeah, actually, I hadn't really considered that. Like, is this purely concept work and I'm going to redraw these? Or is there going to be sort of like a jar in the, art style, which could be fine, right? Like, it would make the major spirits seem more otherworldly, but I don't know if that's what I want. And a jar in the art style, I mean, not to make them otherworldly. I think making them otherworldly sounds great. It's just not what I meant. Not what I was going for, art style-wise. And yet here we are. So, I don't know. Maybe. Cool. Alright, so let's get some more colors in here. Do we want to go into more of a green, a traditional green? I don't think so. I think we want to stick in our orange, sort of stick to as warm colors as possible. I think probably the tail will be like red. Oh, cool, okay. And as you can see with the speckling here, I think we're going to stick to that same idea of having some speckling on top of the filled color. This time, speckling will be orange. Interestingly, of course, that there's also black in there, because we already did that black. I could remove that black. I'm not going to, but, like, I could. Which is a thought. And lastly, we want, I think, like, maybe not a full-on red, but, like, very, I mean, sorry, by full-on red, I mean, like, the bottom of the color palette. I don't know how to put it. Point is, it's got a little bit of purple in it, you know what I'm saying? You mean literally it has some purple in it? Yes. Speckling is probably going to be more of a purplish. Basically, at the end, they're going to swap colors. Or maybe even more of a blue, actually. This might be the only, like, cool color. Yeah, but like a purpley blue. Yeah, one of those like really dark purpley blues. Yeah. I use this a lot in the fish series, so it feels appropriate. Also, just like seeing these makes me think I should also add some texture to the fur. Right, right, that makes sense. Because right now it is very flat. And all I think it really needs is just a little bit of like this. Well, this is what I drew. This did happen. Couldn't really tell you why, but it did in fact happen. So, you know, what you gonna do? I feel like it's like, even though I'm not shading this, generally speaking, I do feel like this part needs to be shaded. Might as well do this part down here then. This is how I go with shading. As I'm just like, well, I might as well do this, and I might as well do that, and I might as well do this, and I might as well do that. Next thing you know, it's all shaded. Which, you know, could be worse. Could be, you know, like, not shaded. Not that I think it needs to be shaded. I'm just saying it is better than it not being shaded. Even though that wasn't the plan, I just kind of started doing it because it seemed appropriate. Yeah. So how do we feel about this monstrosity that I have created? I feel fine about it, I guess. I don't know if I think it's a really cool major spirit, but presumably I'm going to need a lot of them, so, I mean, I guess it's kind of fine if it's not amazing. Which is, like, maybe not a great outlook, but I'm really more of a quantity over quality type of artist. It's not really maybe a good thing to say about my own art process, but it's probably mostly true. So, something like that, you know? I will lower the opacity a little bit, though, on all of these sort of extra lines. And that is our very weird, terrifying creature thing. You know, I think it came out fine. It's still probably more of a design than a finished product. That's okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Rawr! You know, it's been a while since we've added something to the old overlay. I just haven't been doing the, like, beginning of stream drawings of art of game stuff anymore. Now they're all just, like, random things I'm drawing, and they don't feel super, like, I don't know, relevant, I guess. I'm gonna go back to the random animal directory I was looking at before, and we'll see what we get. Raccoon seal snowy owl. That is very cool. Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. We obviously have like a beacon here, but then and like these eyes lend themselves well because they're both like owlin and also like raccoonish. Hey, it's me the android. How are you doing? And then you got all these like feathers, but like the coloration's gonna be kind of like raccoonish. This is wild. Gravy, how are you? What are these creations for? So, as you may or may not have heard in the past, my goal for the year, let's actually talk about it that way. My goal for the year was to create a prototype for a video game concept that I had. because I don't know how to make a video game. So my goal is not to make a video game. My goal is to make a prototype. And part of it, which I think you've probably seen some of, was the previous fish that I drew over the course of February. Those I'm calling minor spirits, and they're actually not fish, they're spiritual energy made manifest. But I wanted there to be major spirits. I want there to be these spirits that are sort of like the spirit of an entire lake, as opposed to a spirit within a lake, if you will, without going into too much detail. As such, I wanted them to be very different. Big, cool monsters as opposed to just actually fish. Now, I mean, the fish aren't just fish. They're weird fantasy fish, but anyway. So largely this is probably going to just be concepts. Like, I don't expect this drawing to appear in the game as it is right now, especially considering the art style is quite different from the previous designs. This doesn't look right at all. Monsters are dope. I like that. Cool. Thank you. I was like looking at some stuff and I was like, these are really cool designs. I should make a secondary class of spirits that are more like monsters because that sounds fun. This is too big. That's what this is. Okay. So I didn't really know where to start, so I pulled up some a random like animal. Just like give me 3 random animals. And this one was starfish, goat, also donkey, but I kind of didn't include that. And I just used a jumping off point. Clearly there's more going on here than just starfish and goat. Whereas this one is raccoon, seal, owl. I have been thinking, though, I might not even really need to be going all this like weird monster route, because all of the existing like minor spirits are fish. And there's so many cool things in the water that are not fish that I could just, you know, make a fantasy manta ray or a fantasy manatee or a fantasy... I'm trying to think of another thing that starts with a man. Just, yeah. The fish one's very Lovecraftian. Great. Works for me. Love that. How do seals work again? Not like this. Okay, cool. I want you to have wings. Why would I have a big cool owl thing if I'm not going to give it big cool wings? Because you didn't want to draw wings? Hey-oh. Nah. I'm okay at drawing. I mean, I'm not great at drawing wings, but I don't mind drawing wings. Some people really hate drawing wings. I don't mind it because I'm not good enough at it to you know, belabor over making it look correct. Whereas if you're better at it, you hate drawing it because there's a lot to think about. You know what? I just realized I'm drawing a sphinx. I'm kind of into that. Phanta ray or Fantasy, if you will. Very good. Could be. There's something going on here that is weird and I like it, but I mean, I guess I shouldn't concern myself too much with it meeting the brief. It's really an inspiration, not a requirement. I don't think that's actually appropriate, but that's okay. It's kind of like Griffin meets Mothman. I like. Very good angle. Now, these are intended to be like water spirits, so I do need to make sure I get some water in there. That is why I've re-rolled my animals until I got a sea-ish thing. This case being seal. So I want to make sure the seal is present. If the raccoon gets absorbed, that's fine. That's not a big deal. We like raccoons, but, you know, not a necessity. Let's move you out of the way temporarily. So I can push this over here. Your head cut off? That's okay. It's fine. How does seals work? I don't know. Just make it a big, cool, swoopy tail. Everyone will be happy. Well, now it just looks the same as the last one I did, with the big tail. Yeah. I guess you can only use that trick once, huh? I mean, you say that, but I'm still going to use it again. Do seals have a tail like that? Seal tail. How does seals' tails works? Does this go to a point? I don't remember. Okay, that is a cool tail, actually. Yeah, I think that'll help make it a bit more distinguished. It is a little bit happy. I might have to make it a bit more fearsome. Not that it can't be happy, I just, you know. If you're gonna make a cool big monster, it's gotta be a little scary. This looks like a friend. Oh, I think actually this comes all the way up. Sort of a chubby body as opposed to a big long body. That's what I think I want to go for. I don't understand this tail, but it looks something like this, I guess? I'm definitely going to have to figure this out after. Okay. Big glowy eyes. I want to make this more of a, like, screech in your face than a, hi, I'm a kindly bird. Now it just doesn't look very owlish. Oh well, that's fine. Do I give it ears? I mean, a seal doesn't have ears. Give it raccoon ears. Good idea. How do raccoon ears look? I don't know. Don't worry about it so much. Now, a lot of the way these feathers look on the body are a result of haphazard line placement. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be able to get that effect with clean inks, which is unfortunate. I guess we'll find out. Then we've got our wings coming out, which probably don't make any sense, and that's fine. They don't have to make sense. I'm gonna start with the tail, actually. Go from there. Maybe we'll make it a bit of a lump here. Something like that. Alright, let's see what we can do. Wow, that looks weird without the lines. Let's start with an actual gray. And we'll start working in more colors as we make it further up the body, I think. Something like that. Let's add some spots just for fun. Oops, I did not realize I'm on the same layer as my my gray. I should not be. That's bad. Oh well. I could be stopping, but I'm just going further, so that's good of me. We'll do the same thing in reverse. We'll stick some of these over here. I might want to change that beak still. I'm not super happy with how it looks. Question is, am I going to actually include any of the raccoon elements, or am I just going to color this all white? Have not decided. Yeah, it's a fun coloring style, where you don't really, like, shade or have any transition. You just, like, have these hard blocks of color interspersed with each other. Let's just start by doing this. I'll add more later if I feel like it. I mean, I will feel like it, but just to start. Yeah, let's just do the whole head in that color, and then we can add other color later. That'll make more sense. And you could just give them all yellow eyes. You could say that all of them have yellow eyes, and then you don't have to feel weird about having them all have yellow eyes. That's a good point. That could just be a defining characteristic. Let's see. Add a little bit of this. Add a little bit in here. Just a few little speckles here and there that catch the light, presumably. Not worrying about exactly where too much, just doing it. So under here too. There. And I do think I want to have this body here actually be a little bit of this gray creep up into it. Even though it's turning into feathers. Actually, maybe I can have it turn into feathers. Kind of like this. Does that look good? Only kind of. If I add a few white highlights, I think it'll look better. Cool. All right. Feathers over here. I really don't know what I'm doing. Actually, let me pull back the original sketch layer. Not that it's like accurate. I am going to use it as reference for this. What you should be doing is looking at, like, you know, birds. What? That's ridiculous. Why would I do such a thing? I mean, say what you will. I think that looks great. And it's so, like, vaguely detailed that it's not actually even wrong. That's funny. Alright. And, yeah, let's use this blue. Why not? Stick to a color palette. I'm not entirely sure how the, like, seal flippers work. They're just flat, flippery things. Yeah. Well, they kind of have more going on than that, don't they? We're gonna try a different beak, just because I want to see some other beak options. Okay, okay, yeah. Actually kind of like this-ish. You know, these pictures, it looks very scary. And what I just drew, it looks extremely friendly. So we're going to have to change that. I realize, though, what I'm drawing is largely an owlbear. This is largely an owlbear plus seal. I think I'm okay with that, but it is interesting. Maybe you should look up an owlbear as reference. Yeah, sure, why not? Not sure how I feel about this. I think I'm just going to go back with a simple beak. Or I could do one of these. The extremely simple beak. That's actually pretty cute. You know, I wasn't gonna, but I think this actually looks great. Yeah, works for me. I do think I need to add some more detail to the wings, is largely what I'm picking up here. So let's see if we can get some better wing. Owl wing. That beak looks good. Thank you. It's certainly not like the cool ferocious, but it also doesn't have like an accidental happy face, which is nice. Make these actually come up a bit. But only up to like here, I guess. I have not studied wings enough for this. Okay. And then you've got sort of like something like this, I guess, is what I'm picking up. And then there's like this little bit here, which is very important, I assume. It looks very important. To the actual like structure of the wing. That does look better. It still doesn't really like connect correctly. Like there's no like anything happening here. Which I'm just gonna say is fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that's great. I think we're done. I think that's our friend. Our friend the sea owl. Although if you said sea owl, I would have pictured something completely different, I'm realizing. Also, I realize I said I'm done. I think I want to add a little bit extra detail here. Just make this a little dark at the bottom. And I'll add a few extra dots, because I like dots. I think dots look good. That's too many. Boop, 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 boop. Cool. We got these two friends. I feel quite accomplished. This was one of those things that I wanted to work on for the game for a while, and I just haven't really, I don't know, been motivated to, I guess. They do look like they're in exactly the same pose, which is a bit of a shrug, I guess, but that's fine. Thank you, Be the Android. Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of another day here on, I guess, an art channel. We're an art channel now, I guess. Feel free to join DarcyBits on Friday for Hollow Knight. These two, I'm quite happy with. They're definitely going to make it into the game if the game gets made. I shouldn't say that. That sort of like is undercutting myself. I'm definitely going to make it. It's going to happen. Yeah. You sound very confident, Darcy. Yeah. So, dang, these are weird. Which was the point. That was the goal. So, mission accomplished. Have a good night, everybody. I'll get you next time.